Hello everyone, and welcome on board with myself, Scott, and Jandre, who is on camera with me this morning. It's a cool and crisp morning here in the Sabi Sands on Djuma and Arathusa. It's around 9 degrees Celsius, about 49 degrees Fahrenheit, and there's a bit of a breeze in the air this morning. So those are the weather conditions we are experiencing. So far, no animals, but James has also headed out and he's searching the southern parts of Djuma, and I'm going to head to the northwestern parts to see if we can follow up on any lion audio or some lion audio that I heard from camp this morning. I just heard it faintly and it's somewhere to the north of us, and we're just going to snoop around and see what happens. This morning, Tara's in the director's chair with Nikki lending her a hand, and we're really looking forward to the action that could potentially unfold. We're not sure what we're going to find. It's a live safari, and if you are joining for the first time, it's important to know that if you would like to send either James or myself, Scott, questions at any stage, it's really easy to do so. You would hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or send an email through to questions@wildearth.tv. But without any further delays, we need to carry on searching for anything interesting. We've been having some incredible sightings over the last couple of days with both lion and leopard. Yesterday afternoon we had the Nkahuma pride of lion. They were quite close to our eastern boundary, and I fear that they would have already crossed east. But Craig, one of the other rangers, is going into that area to follow up on them, so he'll keep us updated. And James had Karula with the remains of a bushbuck kill last night, but she in all likelihood has finished the remains of that kill and has probably moved off, but there's still a chance that he could track her down again. So that's what his initial rough plan is. But for those of you who have been watching the show for a bit longer, you'll be well aware that the plans often change depending on what Mother Nature As I'm driving along, it's going to be really important for me to check for tracks of animals, and without tracking animals or understanding where they've been moving, it is very difficult to find them. So I'm just going to check this four-way intersection quite carefully. There's a lot of wildebeest and zebra tracks, but they're all heading in the opposite direction to us. Also, a number of hyena have been moving up and down this road, so those seem to be the freshest tracks here. Not of any major interest to us, but even whatever tracks you see, it's important to keep a kind of mental log of where animals are moving, so that if you would like to look at zebra, for example, you've got an idea that there's some fresh tracks heading in the opposite direction to where we're going now. I find the mornings very exciting, more so than the afternoons, because so much tends to happen under cover of darkness when we snug up in bed. So when you come out in the morning, it's really a clean slate, and we don't know where a lot of the animals could have moved to. Some may have moved off our property, like the Nkahuma pride, and others may have come on. So it's a new beginning, and always exciting to find out what's been going on. You'll notice it's still quite dull and dark. The sun is yet to rise, and probably in the next 5 or so minutes we could expect to have it peeking over the eastern horizon, and I'm certainly looking forward to that, because even though the temperatures that I let you know we were experiencing a bit earlier, 9 degrees Celsius and 49 degrees Fahrenheit, it's a stationary temperature, and even though we're not driving quickly, it's incredible how the wind chill factor really does make us that much colder. So it'll be good when the sun comes out for us, and also for a lot of the animals. They will enjoy basking in the morning sun to warm up after a chilly night out in the cold. And it often provides us with great opportunities to get up close and personal to some animals that usually would maybe fly off or run off into the bush. They can often be too cold to be bothered and just continue basking wherever they are in the sun. Oh, this is looking good. This is looking very good. Let me show you what we found. Now, if you look over my right shoulder, you'll see a number of tracks on the road. And these are very fresh female leopard tracks. The tracks are heading, as you can see, in the same direction that we've come from. The leopard that in all likelihood is probably Shadow. And I'm just trying to look carefully to see if a cub is not in, also has not also been walking down this road, but it looks like just her tracks, and they do look quite fresh and crisp. It appears like she could well have come off a termite mound, which is just behind me, before she veered back onto the road, and that's just from having looked a little bit further down her tracks. So now what we need to do is turn around and try and establish where she has gone from here. Remember, I stopped at the four-way intersection and checked quite carefully there for any tracks and didn't see any coming out. So it could mean that she veered off this road before she got to that four-way intersection. Well, while Genre and myself try and establish exactly what's going on with these tracks, it'll be a good opportunity for James to say good morning to you, and I think he might have something interesting to show you as well, so enjoy.
Of this drainage line, an ancient stream cutting a swath down through the middle of Juma. You're looking at a Verreaux eagle owl calling. That's the male. There's a female just behind, being mobbed by a whole bunch of Retz's helmet shrikes. Used to be known as red-billed helmet shrikes. Now they're called Retz's. And they've been flying around attacking these owls, because the owls are obviously predatory birds. You are most welcome to the morning game drive. It's lovely to have you on board. My name is James. If you happen to be a first-time viewer, you're especially welcome. On camera we have Andrew Freddie Mercury, the aardvark, dressed in his traditional bank robbing outfit, which keeps him warm. So we are sitting here in a drainage line, an old sandy stream that I'm sure at one stage used to carry quite a lot of water, but these days will probably flow once only when it floods. And these streams crisscross the Lowveld from the Drakensberg to the Lobombos in the east, and from the Limpopo River in the north down to the Crocodile in the south. And they are remnants of an ancient sea that used to be where we are. And all along the drainage lines, in the thick bush, you have these big trees, the leadwoods, the jackalberries, the mahoganies, and in those trees, owls like this magnificent fellow here like to sit. I think he's trying to attract the attentions of his partner. He's wooing her with a fairly sort of it's not the most attractive song in the world, but I'm sure to her it is a sweet sonnet. Please remember, we love to hear from you. If you have any questions at all, if you have any comments to make, please send them to #SafariLive, questions@wildearth.tv. Our plan this morning is to drive this drainage line and just go back to where we saw a female leopard yesterday. We spent some wonderful time with her. Karula, the queen of Juma, an 11-year-old female leopard, and we're just going to go and see. She had a kill yesterday. I think she's probably moved. I think the meat is almost certainly finished. She killed a bushbuck, an impressive record, and we'll just see what we can find of her. I suspect we may just find her tracks. There's quite thick bush there, but we may be lucky. Spend a bit of time with this Verreaux eagle owl. It used to be called the giant eagle owl, and you can see why. This is a possible margin. They're both calling now. I think that's the male. The other one's just behind where this one's looking to. It's quite comical the way they're sort of shaking while they call. It's almost like they're having a bit of a lover's tiff. No, that's always what you said. No, it's not what I said. Yes, it is. I told you not to hunt that mouse like that. No, you didn't. So they will spend their evenings flying about the place, almost completely silently. When one of these owls flies over the top of your head, you can barely hear it. You just hear a little bit of air movement, and it's because they've got gaps between the fibers of their feathers. And what that means is that the air seems to travel through them, through the wings, which makes them pretty inefficient flyers, but makes them totally silent, so they can sneak up on the rodent prey that is generally their fare. They'll take quite big things at night. I mean, scrub hares are a and the helmet shrikes have moved on, decided that they are not going to try and do damage. The lovely part of the dawn chorus, this. Although it's a little bit like hearing two beginner trombone players having a dueling trombone competition. It really is a full body call, that. Doesn't just come from the beak. It does leave you wondering what on earth they could be saying to each other. The talons on that bird are roughly, say 2 inches long, 2 in front and 2 at the back. And if you're a scrub hare and you happen to have that thing grab you from behind, not nice. back to Scott quickly. Apparently he's found an incredibly magical sunrise view. Not surprising. We'll see you just now. We're going to stay with these owls for a bit longer and enjoy the sunrise.
Welcome back, and it sounds like you're having a wonderful sighting with James and the owl, so I'm not going to keep you here long. But what a magical morning it is here on Djuma. We found a bit of a vista whilst tracking down this female leopard whose tracks we found a little bit earlier. We have lost the tracks, they veered off into a block, but look at this for a magical view. And I'm looking forward to the warm rays from that sun to reach us and start warming us up. It's that reddish-orange color because there's a lot of dust in the air, and that's typical of winter. And as Jean-Andre continues to zoom out, you'll notice that there are one or two little puffs of clouds in the sky, but all in all, it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful day here in the Sabi Sands, and it's good to have you all with us. But like I said, I know you're having a great sighting with James and the owl, so we are going to send you straight back over there whilst we continue to track down this leopard. Enjoy, and we'll see you all a little bit later.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Giga. We're still with these beautiful owls singing at each other. Now what I want you to try and do is just watch that one's face there, and you can see they've got very pink eyelids. You can just see at the top of your picture there, very pink eyelids. It's a bizarre adaptation, and I'm not sure what it's for, but when they close their eyes, it's like two little pink spots at the front of their faces. It may be an adaptation, actually, that makes potential enemies look like... may make potential enemies think that their eyes are in fact open when they're asleep. Another owl that has a similar thing is the pearl-spotted owl, which has black eye spots on the back of its head, which make it look like, when it turns its head round, it looks like it's got eyes in the back of its head. And I'm sure that's a defensive mechanism.
A brown snake eagle just flew over, I think. That's all organised.
Andrew's just identified a brown snake eagle flying over. Andrew, are you convinced it was a brown snake eagle?
It looked like a small eagle, medium size.
I'm most impressed. Hello, Matt in Texas. Nice question. Why are they called eagle owls? Matt, I think simply because they're big. Just because they're the big predatory owls. All owls are predatory, but these ones are just the biggest. So there are three of them in the country. We've got this giant eagle owl, or Verreaux eagle owl. Then we've got the spotted eagle owl, which we find here as well. And then down in the Cape eagle owl, which is... so they both are identified by their sort of spots, I suppose, and then also the spotted them are very similar looking. And this great big thing is totally unmistakable. Now, interestingly, when you look at it, and if you can just get in on the head as much as you can, those tufts at the top of the head that everybody thinks of as ears are not in fact ears at all. They're just sort of ear tufts. The ears are set much lower down than that, and they're offset, which means that they're not in the same place. So if you were to basically, if a human had offset ears, one would be higher up than the other. Now what that allows them to do is to judge distance with their ears. Because the sound is coming from different directions, and because it's sort of arriving at different places, they can judge distance very accurately from sound, which if you're hunting at night, little things like rodents is very important. We had a nice question here. Do they mate for life? I think you'll find what they do is that they will mate for life as far as possible. If one of them dies, however, they'll probably move on fairly swiftly after a brief period of mourning, say about 10 minutes. They are normally found in pairs, which normally indicates that there is a stable pair bond that will last pretty much for life. There's another owl calling in the background, the pearl-spotted owlet. The pearl-spotted owlet is about a 20th the size of that giant eagle owl. I'd love to see a pearl-spotted owlet sitting next to that. Now, I don't know if you're able to pick it up from here, but you can see that the feathers are a lot more downy, say, than those of an eagle, which is sleek and designed for high-speed flying. Hello, Ramay. You want to know if the owls hang around during the day. Ramay, they don't normally. What they will do is they'll call like this in the early morning, and you probably find that they'll go into the deeper foliage for the most of the day, where they'll sort of go sleep, and often together and often close by in a similar sort of tree. And if they've got a nest nearby, then that's where they'll stay. But they're not active during the day. Liz in Wisconsin, you say it looks like the owl has eyebrows. Well, it certainly looks like it's got some very decorative eye shadow. Look at the beautiful way the wing is being exposed there. And you can just see it's not sleek like an eagle's wing at all. It's got those gaps between the filaments of the feathers, and that's so it can fly dead silently. And you saw a nice example of it there. What are they afraid of? What would prey on them? I think the big eagles would have a go at them. Say a crowned eagle might eat one of them. They don't probably have hugely dangerous lives once they get to the size. But the big eagles, like crowned eagles, which live in the thick bush here, will take them. And then they will have to watch out for things like genets and civets, which will come up into the trees at night and maybe try and take them out of their nests if they happen to be in the nests at night, which is unlikely given that they're nocturnal. I suppose if a leopard could get hold of one, it would, but not that many predators, I would have thought. He's only 60 to 65 centimeters. I say that, you know what? The barn owls, certainly I found, these owls tend not to swallow their prey whole as far as I've seen. You know, they tend to eat it a bit like an eagle does. So an owl pellet, for those of you who don't know, if you think of a barn owl swallowing a mouse whole, somewhere in the digestive process, that owl is able to separate out the digestible sort of hair and bones, while the rest of the good stuff goes through the nutritional system. These giant eagle owls tend, if I'm not mistaken, to eat more like eagles, where they don't swallow their prey whole. So, that, I mean, a giant eagle owl won't swallow. It's interesting, this book I've got says that they're normally found singly. I have never found one of these things on their own. They've always been in pairs. Right, well, I think we'll leave these singing owls to themselves. One of these things on their own. And we'll press on gently up the drainage line. We've got one more question, so maybe we'll just hang around here. Hello, Joanne in Florida. Lovely question. What do these owls eat? Well, they eat lots of small mammals, mainly. They'll take anything that they can kill, basically, but small mammals, scrub hares, rodents, possibly the odd squirrel if it happens to be out at the wrong time of the day, even things like dwarf mongoose if they don't watch out. I've definitely heard of them killing mongoose. So basically any small mammal they can get a hold of. What is that? It's a saddle-billed stork. Sorry. Testing the limits of Andrew's eye movements there. Bird shooting over the top. Right, I think we're going to press on gently now. You may lose our signal here, so if you do, I'm sorry about that. But we'll drive very slowly and perhaps you'll be able to stay with us. The other one. Slightly less bulky about the shoulders. Or anything else, of course. You don't want to be biased to the cats. Oh, that's a stunning, stunning shot. You also don't have to use your hands, of course, which in the morning, oh, something of a relief. What do you say, Andrew?
I think it's alive.
Are you afraid? Oh, good. It's a glorious morning. Andrew, just watch the aerial here. Go. Go. Apparently we do have a couple of streaming issues, and there seem to be a few of the platforms on which we operate are lacking audio. Sorry about that. Eugene is frantically working on it. He mainlines coffee and various other kinds of substances to keep him awake, and he will be going frantically trying to fix that. So sorry about that. But I'm still with you, in spirit anyway. So we're going to drive very carefully through here. This is round about where Karula was yesterday, a little bit further up onto the ridge. So we're going to drive very carefully through here. I'm just going to have to watch the road very carefully for tracks. Get Andrew to watch the left-hand side, as well as the camera, He has to multi-skill. Some very obvious tracks of a hyena on the road here. Getting above himself there. So some very obvious tracks of a hyena on the road here. Can you smell that? Change in the smell as we've come up onto the crest, and the air on top of the crest here is starting to warm, and it's just created a kind of I don't know how to describe it. I suppose the air feels lighter here. It feels less dense because we've come out of the drainage line, and so I suppose because it's heating up, it will become less dense. Oh, that's wonderful. Plenty of hyena tracks. Verreaux tracks. Gorgeous, Andrew. It's very artistic of you for this early in the morning. Definitely been plenty of buffalo on this road during the night. So I can see the tree where she was yesterday, just off in there. But she's not there. So we'll just do a quick drive through and see if she isn't on the ground somewhere near. So when you're looking for leopards, and they are not the easiest things in the world to look for, especially in the vegetations like this, much like with lions, what you want to look for is the pale white of the underside, or the inner legs, or the pale white of the tail, just a flash, or maybe a black spot or two. But it's mainly the white on the leopards that are the most obvious things when they're lurking through the bush here. So, and if we can just pan through here, I can tell you there's definitely no leopard there. And that's because there's a duiker standing just about underneath the tree where she was. We'll just drive in there quickly and see, and that might be the stupidest duiker in the world, in which case the leopard might be there, but I don't think it is. You don't survive to adulthood as a duiker if you're a bit gormless. We'll just drive slowly in here. I don't see her tracks on the road, so she may have gone out the other side. Definitely gone, and she's taken the last bit of meat was the head of the bushbuck that was in the tree there. Just have a quick look there, and that head is gone. So she's pressed on to wherever she has. I'm not sure where she would have gone actually. We'll carry on down this road to the east. I think she came sort of from the east, so she's been hanging around in this area. And I think that's actually why it's taken me so long to meet her. For those of you who don't know, this is a very famous WildEarth leopard that we saw here yesterday. and she, I hadn't seen her, and for the 5 weeks that I've been here, I hadn't seen her, and I suspect she's in this area quite a lot these days. It's very thick, and there are not a lot of roads, so she gets quite a lot of peace through here, and I think she's probably using this as the core of her territory at the moment. There are lots of suspicions that she might be pregnant, which is very exciting indeed. Right, so not here right now. We're going to go down the road and see if we can't pick up her tracks. Andrew, do not be knocked off the vehicle by a tree by reverse. Especially that one. Okay. Andrew is still present and correct. Out onto the road. There is a large hole here, which I'm going to try and avoid. If I don't, I'm sorry. We avoided it. So, we have hyena tracks on the road. But no leopard. If I find a decent hyena track for you to look at, I'll show you.